My gosh, this was one of those episodes where you know where it's going. It has the reveal of the UA Traitor, something that has been set up since season 3 when they managed to found the summer camp, which should not have happened, but because of the Traitor, the villains were able to do it, capture Bakugo, which led to the events that is known of All Might versus All for One. So, let's go over this episode with 3 specific phases. The villain phase, the before the reveal phase, and then the after reveal phase. Let's go over the villain side, since we have Shigaraki / All for One, or at least a version of him, kind of just in pain considering that Star and Stripe did quite the damage with her core kind of going rampant and basically almost destroying Shigaraki's body. But since, plot, he's still alive, suffering, but he's still alive. So the main All for One says, okay, we gotta wait a bit so the body can be re-perfected again. Obviously, Dabi doesn't like that and wants to start causing havoc. To which All for One basically tells him that, yeah, they're similar, but the one thing is, All for One has a plan. Dabi's plan is more or less, let me just destroy everything. It does not matter what happens. Which, unironically, that is going to be his downfall. Because that kind of thinking only means one thing. They just need someone with enough, or if not stronger strength than you, to essentially put a stop to you. And also, All for One giving a lecture that there is multiple ways he always goes about a single goal. No matter what path happens, he'll reach his destined goal. And we get a visual representation of it. So, although some of it does seem like some things could go so far off that his goal will become uncompletable, there are still pathways to lead towards whatever his goal is. And in this case, is stealing One for All. And essentially becoming so dangerous that nothing can stop him at this point. To go into the villain stuff, they're basically backtrack things to what Star and Stripe did, which heroes have to, it gives them time to train, but it also keeps them alerted that, yeah, they're gonna need to be prepared for what is essentially the final war. Alright, so second part of this. I do want to mention that I almost forgot. All for One did state he has friends, and then we get to see Invisible Girl shown as this is a red herring, by the way. She's not the traitor. She's not the UA traitor. It just happens to be someone else. Someone most of the fan base already suspected. But let's continue on with this part that's before the traitor stuff. Being that all of the UA Class 1A are training themselves, I like seeing all of them kind of fighting each other, but also fighting alongside each other. Basically, going with who is best suited working with, and also who is best to go against each other. Then you do have Deku still sort of in that mental mindset of his vigilante arc, where he still wants to do things on his own, which Ida had to correct him and say, hey, we are in this together. Which everyone else does unanimously agree that, yeah, Deku, stop trying to think all on your own. We're a group now. So it's cementing that, yes, they recall that Deku has that issue, and they're bringing that back to the forefront of reminding him he shouldn't do things alone. And then we have Invisible Girl, who was following Aoyama because after they all came back from rescuing Deku, she was the one who primarily knew that he wasn't feeling well, that something was wrong. And then we have the big reveal.
So, 僕だけが
Yes, Aoyama is the UA traitor, which, I mean, there were hints here and there throughout the series. I won't go into that this video, but I will say it is interesting that Deku is there, kind of just having overheard it, as well as Visible Girl. And yeah, both of their reactions just stunned, with Aoyama eventually explaining away like every single detail that kind of transpired, with the main core being that his parents wanted their son, who was quirkless like Deku, to have a quirk. They go to All for One, and yeah, Aoyama gets his quirk. It's incompatible with his body, though. And now because All For One helped them, that means that now they're his pawns. And if they try to run away, well, they'll suffer a fate worse than death. And then death. So, yes, he doesn't want his parents to suffer. His parents honestly only wanted what was best towards him, but obviously made a very, very bad investment. That's now biting him in the ass. Aoyama wants to just keep himself in line because he knows what will happen. Invisible Girl blocks away the attack. We see, like, her appearance, for the most part, a little bit of it. And she is super pissed. Rightfully so. And Deku easily knocks him down and basically captures all three, which brings everyone together to hear all this confession from all three of them. And yes, Aoyama, for the most part, has been wanting to be caught because he feels he is a villain, which goes into the whole perspective thing. He was helping All For One. Yeah, it wasn't like he was voluntarily being malicious. It's more that he was screwed. Because if he didn't do it, his family and him would have died. So it's more of survival of the fittest. He did a bad thing, as mentioned by the police officer. Like, you can't ignore that Aoyama still helped All For One. We know the reasons. We can sympathize with it. But it is still wrong, regardless. Now, that brings into the question of, what if we were in this position? Because let's be real, most of us would have probably had been in that position and gone with it because we care for our loved ones. Some would have tried to find a way, but considering what happened to Lady Nagant, I mean, yeah, he would probably have something that can sense when someone's not listening to orders. So, yeah, it's basically establishing All For One to be such a big threat that he needs to be stopped. So, yep, and the end of the episode goes with Deku still trying to reach Aoyama, with all of his classmates starting to realize that they finally have something against All For One. All For One doesn't know what's going on, and Aoyama just brought himself a chance to redemption, as he's the key factor into tricking All For One, to finally getting an edge on the villains, which was something they've needed for so long. Yeah, even in season 6, they had the advantage, and yet everything went to complete other shit the moment Shigaraki came into play. So now they have a chance, with the big disadvantage they have for this fight, to turn it into their favor. So it ends in a high note. But overall, for this episode, I gotta give it a 9 out of 10. It is strong, especially all of the Aoyama stuff, and all of the UA Traitor reveal and all this. However, I still gotta give Star and Stripe both 10 out of 10 episodes because that was still top tier. It's still a good episode. It's just the first two still hold it higher than this one.